You built it, you launched it, and nobody bought it. In this episode, I am going to share with you what really triggered a conversation inside of my DMs that I received, that I was talking to one of my followers about whether my program would be the right fit with where she's at, and how she was feeling really disheartened about how her program that she spent hours building to live launch it and then get crickets. And I totally understand what this is like, to feel like it is a gut punch and to feel like you have put so much time and energy into building this offer that it can really feel emotional, and we can really make it feel personal. And I know, because I have been there myself many times before. But I'm going to really share with you today about breaking down the launch runway and why you don't need to have your whole program, whether that's a course or a membership, built out, and how to ensure that we're spending time on a launch debrief without spiraling, right? And we're going to first walk through talking a little bit about why or how you are launching. And there is a lot of courses out there on how to live launch. And there's certain ways that people teach on how to live launch. But we don't want to spend all this time building out a program or a course to be like, here's my offer, buy it now. This isn't a launch. This is just putting something out on social media after maybe you have chosen a date. I'm going to let everyone know that it's now available to buy, and then crossing our fingers, hoping that they're going to see that content, resonate with it, and then buy. Buyers need more time. They need to build trust before they say yes. And I definitely feel like over the past 12 months, if not 2 years, so much has changed in this space of live launching and courses and memberships and what people actually want to consume. And so I have felt like, after being on maternity leave and coming back and trying to juggle keeping up with everything that's been going on, my first live launch at the start of this year it didn't go to plan. I didn't get any new signups. And that to me was almost a little bit of a shock, because most of the time when I have live launched, in all of my launches, I tend to get a few people join. And I know what that feels like, to feel like you have just put in all of this time and energy into a launch and then no one buys. But there's 3 things that a launch runway actually does. And this is why it's really important to make sure that when you decide that you're going to bring a program out, whether that is a course, whether you are a coach, whether you are wanting to build a membership, whatever that might be, you need to look at the 3 stages. The first one is building awareness. And we need to look at the people that we have on our email list. We need to look at the people who are on our social media, and who have we been building a community around. I know for me, a lot of my audience have been e-commerce brands, because I was an ad manager for e-commerce brands for over 3 years. I know a lot of my audience is OBMs, meta ad agency owners, and coaches. So if I was to bring out a program that didn't really resonate with my audience, I probably am not going to get people to sign up to that. So we need to focus on building that awareness. And that could be building our list with new subscribers. It could be putting out a lead magnet to our social media audience to build that trust, to start conversations. It could be doing face to camera and talking about pulling content from your program and talking about that leading up to your launch. It could be doing podcast episodes with other leading experts in your niche to build that awareness. And then we need to make sure that we are nurturing that audience in our emails and in our social media. I like to have conversations with my followers and my community on Instagram. And one of the most recent feedback that I had got, when someone starts to follow me, I tend to jump in and either send a voice note or just send a message. That's not automated. And I like to use their first name so that it makes it more personal. And someone said to me, this feels like this is really you sending me this message. And I was like, yeah, it is really me. I want to have that conversation. I want to learn more about you and what you do and what your challenges currently are in your business. And so building that relationship in emails as well, because sometimes we can get people on our email list and then not communicate with them for weeks on end. And I know I'm guilty of that too. I always say that I'm going to record a weekly podcast episode and that's going to go out to my email list. But then things happen and I drop the ball on my podcast because that's the thing that I can easily pick up and it's not going to break. So I am really guilty of that too. I'm really guilty of not sending regular emails. But that is really a crucial part in building that trust. And that doesn't happen over a number of days or a number of weeks. This could take months for someone to build that trust with you to then join your program. A lot of my community of who have joined my program have either worked with me in the past, and I'm talking like years ago, have worked with me in the past. They have either left because I let go of ad management and they have gone on to another agency. They haven't had a great experience, and so they have come back to work with me in a different capacity. So it can take time for people to move through that different level of building brand awareness and nurturing them and then them buying. And it also comes down to whether your program is solving a problem that they're currently experiencing. And these are the things that we obviously need to take a step back and work through. So I want you to look at reframing. A launch isn't an event. It is a runway. So even if you are running meta ads, you still need to have a launch runway that matches what you're doing on socials, that matches what you're doing on your podcasts, so that all of your content is leading to that one event, that one launch. And this just helps to build that trust. Now, building out your runway. So the awareness stage, right? So you want to get in front of as many people as you can. And that comes down to your content and your ads, as I said. It could include collaborations. It could include podcast episodes, as I mentioned. And we need to ensure that when we are running meta ads, or even if we are using a lead magnet to grow our email list, we want to make sure that lead magnet or that tripwire matches the end goal. And what I mean by that is that lead magnet needs to relate to your program that you're launching. I have seen so many times where I've worked with clients who have a lead magnet that actually isn't in alignment with their end program. So we want to make sure that we work backwards. What is your program? What is it helping them solve? How is it moving them from A to B? And then what type of freebie or lead magnet or tripwire, whatever you would like to call it, will help them to progress through that. An ebook is not a lead magnet. An ebook takes time to consume. They're not going to get a quick win out of that ebook. So it needs to be something that they can easily digest and implement and see a result from it. The nurture phase. Content that builds the 3 beliefs. So this works. They can help me, or I can do this too. Okay, this is the nurture phase. And we need to be able to see how what you're offering will help me. So for example, one of my e-commerce clients, she was going to close down her label at the start of this year. She was feeling really overwhelmed, exhausted, didn't know where her next sale was going to come from, and was really leaning into organic content and launching new collections every few months to get those repeat customers and generate those sales. Now, when she came to me, she needed to be able to see that ads would work for her, or I could help her create a meta ad strategy that would allow her to generate sales, get in front of the right audience, and grow her business. That was a belief that she needed to be able to see. And now 6 months later, she has gone from $13,000 months to a $32,000 month. We slowly have scaled that, and that is on $1,900 in ad spend. Okay, and she generated about $15,000 revenue of that revenue from ads. So they need to be able to see how what you're putting in front of them can support them, or how you can help them, or I can learn how to do this too. Okay. Now, when we talk about a live event, a lot of the time it is a masterclass that is live. This could just be a challenge. But what a live event does is it allows you to teach the framework and creates a natural bridge to your offer. When I launched my program, I taught a free masterclass, and I shared my convert framework, and then I took out one core pillar of that framework and taught that, and showed where my audience is now and where they could be. Because one of the things with meta ads is that people say they don't work for me, or I've run ads and I've just spent a whole lot of money and didn't get results. It all comes down to understanding the strategy and the foundations of meta ads. If your website is not converting, if your funnel is not converting, then your ads are not going to change any of that. We need to fix our messaging, fix our offer before we start running ads. So by putting on a live event, and you might not like doing a masterclass, and that's fine. You need to find what you enjoy doing and how you enjoy teaching. Or maybe it is a live call where your audience can get on and ask questions, and it's like a 60-minute of a mini mentoring session. Depending what you like to do and how you like to show up, Someone else that I know recently for her live launch did a series of Instagram stories. She created the private Instagram stories where you can put friends or family, close friends and family group. And she taught her framework through Instagram stories. So there's different ways that you can do a live event. It doesn't necessarily need to be a masterclass or a workshop, but it's essentially allowing people to see how you teach. And I feel like when people get to see you and see your results and who you've worked with and how you can support them, and they get to see themselves in being able to work with you, then that, I feel, bridges the gap a lot quicker. Now, it still might take someone 6 months to convert, but it just might help them to see where they fit and if they are ready for those next steps. Okay. The other thing is that if people have never worked with you before, then the live event can make someone who is very cold or very new to your email list, as I said, can really make them just warm up to you a lot quicker, which is why that live event does really matter. And as I shared at the start, that it is important to make sure that you have a viable offer. So before you go and spend hours, and I have done this with quite a number of clients before. My very first client, who I have shared previously, Joy from Off the Track Training, in 2016, she came to me and wanted to launch a fitness hub. She lives on a property in rural Queensland, and her fitness program was just on emails and PDF and sending emails to her clients. And she wanted to have a bigger impact. So at the end of 2015, all she had was an Excel spreadsheet of there wasn't very many names on that spreadsheet, but she had a very small Excel spreadsheet of names and emails of people that she had worked with previously and her current clients. And we ran ads to grow her list. So we did a 12-day challenge that was just before Christmas. We warmed up that audience. In January, we live launched with a masterclass where she taught her framework. And at that point, she had 0 modules built out, no videos. And this was a 24-week program. In that first intake, I think we did over $20,000 in revenue from memory, and we built the program out week by week. Those members only needed access to that first week when we started. So the doors were open for a week, and then we officially started on a certain date. Once they got access to the portal, they had access to their first week. And then she would go and create the content for week 2. So you don't need to have your program built out. I think sometimes it feels really good for us to go and build it out and have something there. But honestly, we don't. We do not need it. We can validate our offer simply by running a masterclass, getting really clear on who it is that we want to work with. What are their challenges, their pain points? What are their stories? How can we support them from going from A to B? And we can do that through a simple Google Doc. We can send an email. We can put it in our stories. You don't need to have a full program or a course built out to validate your offer. And this is exactly what I've just recently done with my most recent program. Is I had a membership that I relaunched last year, and I had people join that. But my biggest challenge was getting people to implement. So what I had done is I decided that I would change it from being a monthly membership to a 6-month program, where each week I would deliver each part of the framework. So each week we would do a new pillar. And all I had was, I went through, I drafted up my sales page, I vibe coded the sales page. So I didn't go in and build out the whole sales page. I vibe coded it in Claude. I was like, here is all the sales page information and here is the price point. And then Claude vibe coded that for me. If you don't know what vibe coding is, it is magic and it saves a lot of time, because I didn't have time to go and build out a whole sales page. I literally rebuilt this in 2 weeks. So vibe coded it, put it onto a page in Ivory, and that was it. I ran a masterclass. I ran ads to that masterclass, and I had one of the best masterclasses I've done in a long time. The show up rate, the questions that I got, and for people who were new, who had never worked with me before, who were new to my list, they were able to see how I taught, and they were able to see the results that I've achieved for my clients, because I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been doing this for over 15 years. And I'm not just like another ad strategy person. I am here to support you and your business to achieve whatever you set out to achieve. So once I have signed up to the mentorship, the only thing they currently have access to is a welcome video and a diagnostic report that they can fill out, and they email it, and I get a copy and they get a copy, and it helps me to see where they are currently at in their business. That's it. We are going live every week, where I will be teaching one pillar for the next 6 weeks, so that they can learn and then implement. But that's all they have access to. That's it. So if you have needed a permission slip, you don't need to have all of your modules recorded before you sell your offer. You need to have clarity on what your offer is going to be, how you will support your audience, who is your audience, a clear launch runway. And if you're just building this program from scratch, you could just literally say, I'm taking 5 people through this program that I'm launching. This is the beta price, and a beta price is essentially like a lower price point for your first live launch, so that you can get people in, validate it, get feedback, change it, tweak it, and then you can launch it later on down the track when you want to do another intake. But you can bring just a few people in. You could just have 5 people join to help you get that feedback. And something that I have always, a bit of a quote that I have always focused on, and I say to people that imperfect action is better than perfect procrastination. We can spend so much time thinking, I want to build out a program, or I want to do this, or maybe we share our idea with someone and they're like, that won't work. But guess what? They're not your ideal audience. And sometimes our friends and family can be the harshest critics. And I want you to know that they are not your audience. They are not the people that are going to be buying from you. And as harsh as that sounds, it's true, essentially. So if you have an idea about building a course or a program or a community, or putting out some coaching, do it and ask the people who are already following you, who are already engaged with you, and ask your ideal person who would actually buy from you. And I think that's the most important thing. And then at the end, once you have launched your offer, whether someone has joined or not, hopefully you have people sign up. But there is something called the launch debrief. And this is something I sometimes tend to put off because I find so boring. But it is so important, and it is something that when I first joined a mastermind, it was something that they had us do at the end of every launch. And so many people skip this because we feel emotionally fried, we feel exhausted, you have the post-launch blues, or you're busy frantically building out content for your program if someone has bought it. But doing a launch debrief is so important. So what is included in a launch debrief? You can access a PDF that you can go through this, or I have a vibe coded app with Claude that allows me to do my launch debrief inside of there and then export it into a nice PDF to share with my mastermind and my mentor so that they can help give me feedback on what's happened. So basically it's numbers. It is the email open rate. It is how many people clicked on your links in those emails. It's your sales page conversion rate. So if people did buy from you, how many people went to the sales page, how many people purchased from you. The live event attendance. Also, if you have run ads, how many people signed up to that through your ads? What was your cost per lead? What was your ad spend? Taking all of this into consideration. How many people attended that live event, and then how many people purchased from that live event? Did people drop off at any point throughout that? Looking at your social media numbers, how much did you grow your email list by? Did you grow your social media? Did you get more followers? All of this comes into play. Then we look at what worked well. So for me, leading up to my launch and also just my launch in general, my live masterclass went really well. That worked really great. I had a great group of registrations. I had quality questions. So that worked really well. And then I can take that and do it again, right? What didn't work? I was leading up to my launch, I was rebuilding this whole program. So everything that I had used previously for my live launches, I had to create new content, new social media content, new ads, new copy, new sales page, new program layout. I was building all of that. I had to do emails as well. So all of that was happening in my launch. That didn't work so well. And then I was also sending DMs in Instagram. I had people's Instagram handles who signed up and I was sending them DMs. Some people replied, some people didn't. I didn't get the number of signups that I had hoped for, but that is okay. So we need to pull out all of our numbers and look at that data. What worked, what didn't work so well, energy-wise, all of that comes into play so that we can figure out what we're going to do for the next launch. And I want you to separate it didn't work or no one joined, no one wants my program, from that to here's what didn't work, and looking at, okay, why did they not join? And I think also doing a survey out to your email list and just asking them some questions and making it anonymous so they don't have to put in their name and email address, but just making it anonymous so that you can get that feedback. And I just want you to know I have been there where you are. I know how hard it is when no one buys. I know what it's like to spiral out of control sometimes and think, this isn't working, no one wants my offer, that's it, I'm done, I'm walking away. But that only lasts a moment until I gain clarity. I take some time to look over everything, talk to my mentor, get feedback, and then go, okay, for my next launch, here's what I need to focus on. So just a little recap. So the takeaways are to build your runway. Launch live at least for the first few times so you know what's working and what isn't working, and use the same live launch again so that you can repeat it, tweak it, refine it, and go again. Debrief with the data that you have and try to separate yourself from the outcome. If you've enjoyed listening to this episode, please let me know. Share it on socials. And I'm here to always go through this with you, to support you. And if you have considered running ads for your offer, it really makes a difference when you have a solid offer that you've put out there, people have purchased, you have feedback, you have testimonials. It makes such a big difference for you to then take that offer that's been validated to then run ads. You can grow your list with ads at the start and you can send them to a live event, right? But we need to validate our offer. And just don't go and spend all your time and energy on building out a program that's not all yet validated. If you'd like to join the next intake of the Convert Mentorship, you can click the link in the show notes and join the waitlist. I am opening every 6 weeks for a new intake, and I am super excited for that. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode today. I hope you have a great day.